Yeah, Shovel Knight. The culmination of everything I wanted to do with this channel. In fact, after this, I'm just going to stop. It's like 3 videos. That's more than enough. That's my legacy now. It's almost heresy to talk over this. I mean, I have to, but that's very Tales of Elethrion. I'll talk about that in a sec. No! No! Shield Knight! The good times are over! It's one of those things that's oddly affecting. It doesn't think, you wouldn't think it would necessarily affect you as much as it does, but there's something very universal about this sort of very simple tale. It's never made explicit whether it's a romantic thing, whether they're just sort of, best friends who happen to be, man and woman. We assume Shovel Knight's a man. I guess it's confirmed somewhere else. And there's the Enchantress. Oh, there's Plague Knight. Hey, Plague Knight. Again, I think that it is a sort of... That's something that Yacht Club Games were going for, because if you play the Plague Knight DLC, that's incredibly sweet in a weird way. Oh, here we go. Steal thy shovel. So this song, which I'm going to let you listen to, composed by Jake Kaufman, is incredible. I got in contact with Yacht Club Games I tweeted Yacht Club Games and said, "Hey guys, this is one of the best soundtracks to any game actually I've ever heard." I'll talk about some other ones in a bit, but it's this track in particular sort of sums up the sort of sheer joyous energy of Shovel Knight and this sort of commitment to both honour the 8-bit games which inspired it. So we're talking sort of like the Mega Men, sort of Zelda 2, all the Castlevanias. It really does feel more like a Mega Man game than anything else to me, but that sort of energy just suffuses it. It really honours that legacy, but at the same time it's its own beast. It's completely its own thing, and the music is an absolutely integral part of that. And they said, as soon as Jake delivered the soundtrack to them, particularly this level, particularly this song, they knew they had to design a level that would live up to it. And my god, they did, because it's a very obvious early level. There's even a trope for it on TV tropes. It's just called Green Hill Zone. It's this sort of very sunny green environment that you sort of traverse with not too much difficulty. It teaches you the sort of the basics of the game, but it's got to be one of the most gorgeous examples of that. Look, you've got that waterfall in the background. You can tell we're underground in this cave. It's all so easily navigable as well. Just look at this stuff. So here you go. That's sort of that particular sprite there is sort of a hint that you need to hit that. It's like Dark Souls 2 and that. Jesus Christ! I need to make a drinking game where every time I mention Dark Souls, but it's there are some unmarked ones like that, but other times you've got to really keep an eye out for those sprites. This is one of those, just like the 8-bit games which it takes inspiration from. This is one of those games that really does reward players who take the time to get to know it and to sort of explore. So yeah, in the introduction I mentioned Tales of Elethrion, which is a an animation series by Sun Creature Studios, and they've just finished their, I say just, a couple of months ago now I guess, they finished their Kickstarter campaign. They were hoping to get a full season of these sort of 20-25 minute long animations going. They only managed to raise enough to actually get 2 animations, and they seemed a little bit disappointed that it was basically continuations of the story of the 2 animations that they've already put out, The Reward and The First Hero. But if you've not seen them, I suggest you check them out. There's this real sort of Shovel Knight-esque joy to it. It's all very colourful, but at the same time it masks this sort of deeply melancholic story about... In the first one it's about friendship, sort of what turns out to be a fantastic subversion of the journey was the reward all along sort of thing. And in the second one it's this sort of tragic love story, which, you know, in the best sort of Greek dramedy sort of thing. I'm not talking about My Big Fat Greek Wedding in that sense, because I've never actually seen it, but there is a sort of very tragic love story going on there, where you see every character's faults, and yet they're sort of powerless to resist them. And it's animated so well. There's a sort of completely unique visual aesthetic, which I always find really, really appealing. While I'm talking about stuff I love, I guess I'll just talk about some stuff that I'm not a fan of. Just to bounce it out. Oh, Monday mornings, am I right, guys? Oh, God. Wearing seatbelts. You can't get comfortable. I know it's sort of... My hatred for seatbelts nearly cost me dear there. So the premise of Killstream is that once I die, that's it. That's it, or hit a fail state rather. That's it. That's the end of the LP of this game. I don't want that to happen with Shovel Knight, at least not for a couple of levels, because I want to show it off as much as possible. I really feel... Again, it was a sort of... this is something else that was kickstarted. Kickstarted is probably the past tense of that, right? Past participle of that. And they took a load of, you know, sort of backer input, and they sort of... It was one of the best development cycles ever, it seems. You know, they sort of really took everyone's opinions on board, and backers got to contribute their own bosses to the game. It's these sort of roving bosses. So the best friends got the Baz in there. There's a couple of ninja guys, one of whom is an absolute bastard to fight, actually. So no kudos to whoever put that in. Oh Jesus! These dragons they're not sad to the extent that the griffins are on the later stage, where they really yacht club really go out of their way to make you feel bad for just blindly killing these enemies. I'll point them out when we get to it. Well, rather if we get to it. But it's that sort of thing where they're so gleefully cruel in how they go about it. You know, it turns out that they were these like, oh my god, these guys' best friend essentially, and you just mindlessly kill them because they were lazily swiping at you as you went through it. It's a sort of, oh god, okay, drinking game every time I mention Dark Souls, but it's a very sort of Sif thing. If you played that game, where, you know, Sif is puppy. He's just a big sad puppy, and he's guarding his mate's grave, or so you think. And you have to kill him, and they fucking FromSoft added in a limping animation for him, just because they're cruel and they wanted you to feel bad for it, as you should, frankly, because that guy was fantastic. Oh, I honestly hope, what with the upcoming Dark Souls 3, that they go out of their way to be like, oh no, actually turns out he was fine, and that was just disappearing and howling was just one of his, you know, special attacks, and nobody figured it out because nobody figured out how to use the pendant on him. Just look at all that animation. I love that you have to... Just that real Toon Link, let's dive in a chest sort of thing. Every part of this game is good. There's so one of the lead designers, I'm sorry I can't remember his name off the top of my head, he recently did he made a Mario Maker level for Polygon, and in that he talks about, you know, he likes auto scroll, which I agree, I think it's fantastic when it's used well. I mean, it's a little bit slow on his level. But he also talks about the fact that he thinks they messed up a level in this game where you're sort of underwater, and sort of it breaks the flow of the game a little bit, or rather it teaches you to play in a different way, which then never comes up again. And it's one of those things where you think, but you know, it's worth it for the sake of variety. You know, there's this whole I know a lot of people aren't fans of water levels. For instance, I hate water levels in the Sonic series, which otherwise I'm, you know, pretty big fan of. But at the same time, I feel like it's done well in that game. I knew you'd show your face sooner or later. The cerulean coward. Turn back, Shovel Knight. There's nothing here for you anymore. I can't do Shovel Knight's voice. I can barely do Black Knight's voice. Or at least my interpretation of it. I was sort of going for a Ron Perlman sort of... I don't know what I was going for, actually. Ron Perlman's voice is nothing like that. I apologise. See, here's the thing. This all takes place in one valley, and you understand why they've done it, because they need to set limits upon the world. But my god, I hope that for Shovel Knight 2 or whatever, when they finally get around to releasing it, because they've been really good with their DLC. It was sort of a part of their Kickstarter thing. But if they ever do make a Shovel Knight 2, I really hope they explore more of the world. I hope it's Steal my shovel. I really hope it's Shovel Knight and Shield Knight just going out and exploring this, unexplored continent. So here is the first time I might actually die, in which case it will be the end of the LP. I shouldn't. I've played this game enough that I think I could probably get away with this stuff. But the first time I played through, Black Knight gave me a lot more trouble than I'm willing to admit to. You can hit that back at him, and it's incredible. I'm going to try and do it because you get a feat for it. I think because I've already got it, it's not going to show up, but I really want to. Okay, so I can't hit him again until he does that, which is fine because we'll make him giggle. Yeah. Cool guys don't look at explosions. There he goes. So, you want to talk about gameplay and story integration. I know everyone loves Brothers Tale of Two Sons for exactly that at the end. And they're right to, because that is absolutely tragic and it's heartbreaking. And yeah, heartwarming in the same way. But Shovel Knight deserves credit for this. It really brings home, exactly how much guilt Shovel Knight feels for what happened to Shield Knight. Where are you? And the fact that those, I guess you call them minigames, get harder as you go along, really does, it adds to sort of this real sense that, it's his fear, it's his panic that he's never going to see Shield Knight again, and that he's going to let her down and fail her because of all these obstacles. It speaks to his sort of fear that he won't be up to the task of rescuing her without her, essentially. Look at this map. Look at this. If you grew up in this era, or even if you didn't, this is just such an homage to 8-bit games, it's almost unbelievable. And I always wondered whether this particular bit, hey, we can't have you knocking around, you can't have you entering or leaving the village without a weapon, is a sort of reference to just a shovel. If only he knew. If it's a reference to Majora's Mask, which is the best game of all time, and the fact that you're not allowed to leave the town. Ooh. The fact that you're not allowed to leave the town without actually having a weapon when you're in Deku Scrub form. I will. Oh, I will, because that's the song we just heard, and it's incredible. Strike the earth. Where are you? All just incredible. And look, he's really rocking out to it. There's Bojack. Oh! Bojack, not normally so helpful, but okay. So this goat, I realise this sentence has never been said before. This goat is how you upgrade your health or magic, and it's a sort of sadistic choice because you can only do one or the other every time you have enough money to buy a meal ticket. But just look at the care that they've taken over this. So every time you exchange this for a new meal, it's different. It's a different sprite. Yes, love it. Okay, now the reason I've taken that instead of magic is A, I'm terrified that I'm going to die really early and I'm not going to get to show you the rest of the game, but also because I don't have any magic items yet. In fact, I'm going to go and buy one now. Basically, you get the fishing rod just from the other side of the room. It's only a matter of time, right, before somebody makes an entire mobile game just based on this. In fact, I'm pretty sure I used to watch a couple of game shows as kids. When I was multiple children, that have you do exactly that had the contestants do exactly this. I was never on a game show. I used to watch them all the time. I really want to. So if you're a British kid who grew up in the sort of 90s, get your own back. That sort of thing where they bring a teacher on. God knows why the teachers did it. These little snot-nosed brats want to gunge you or whatever on live TV. I'm doing terrible. That's a sort of salve to my vanity there. Oh, God damn, that was awful. Oh my God. But I wonder what the overall record is for that. I'll take 142. I'll take 142 and a load of gold. It's going to help me get my fishing rod. And presumably, what is it? Orb of Destruction? Grandma's Swamp. Such a good name. Oh, here's the guy he's the Usurped King whose griffins you kill later on. I guess those are spoilers, but whatever. This guy, you get an achievement for listening to all his bad puns. Yeah! I say bad. That one's fantastic. Let's have a look. Yep, Chaos Sphere. There you go. I will. So here's the thing. I've done nothing but sort of shower praise on this game so far, but there is one thing that does annoy me a little bit. And that is actually how you do your magic attacks. You press up and the attack button, and it really feels at times unintuitive. There's been more than one time in a boss battle where, you know, I've tried to throw it out and that's not happened, so I've just swiped. Ah, it's worth it. Ooh, that I've never come across before. That's fantastic. But it's such a minor annoyance to get through when the game's as good as this.
But when push comes to shove, you gotta do what you love, even if it's not a good idea. Zoidberg! They said I probably shouldn't be.
Get out of here, kid. She's lazy. Lazy milkmaid. But she is how you get that song there. Oh, I'm not... I will, thank you, Gatherer. Gatherer. Love it. That's where I'd keep my treasure if I was living in this village with, you know, Goatman. Here we can see an elderly Marco from the comic Saga. And here's presumably a disciple of that ninja you fight later. And that's just blue high-waisted Link. I've got no idea.